Yo, what is up, guys? And today we've got the way too early 2018 NBA mock draft, and we're gonna hop right into it. So if you like my content and you like this video, please like and subscribe. And as I said, we're hopping right into it. Okay, guys, so I wasn't sure, when I wanted to do this video. I know I wanted to do like an really early mock draft. I was thinking about doing it before the college basketball season, but I just felt like that was just way too early. And if you see where the draft is now, it obviously makes sense because a lot of things have changed. You had Michael Porter getting injured. You've got Trae Young's performance. A lot of things have changed. So I think right now we're starting to see, those top 10 players form as, who are the top 10 prospects. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm only going to do the first 10 because this is too really early. Those guys at the end of the round, that's going to change drastically, come closer to the NBA draft. And I'm just going to do it by the records we have now. Obviously things can change. The Bulls are playing decent right now. If they start to get more wins, they could go further and further down. You've got teams, like the Brooklyn Nets, who knows where they'll be. And obviously that pick right now belongs to the Cavaliers. There's a lot of things that could change, but we're going to go by the records we have right now. So we're going to start it off with the number 1 overall selection, which right now would go to the Atlanta Hawks. And it definitely seems right now that they're going to be up there. Obviously, even though they have the worst record, doesn't mean they'll have the number 1 overall pick. But right now, I'm going to say they're going to go with DeAndre Ayton. I mean, DeAndre Ayton, a 7-footer, an absolute beast as far as, athletic build. He can dunk. He's got crazy vertical. Obviously, he can dunk. He can, he's got a decent ability to spread the floor. I definitely think come, NBA draft time, that's definitely going to be a focus of his to get his draft stock up. And obviously, the Atlanta Hawks have proven in the past that they can build a winning core around 2 great big men. And you got John Collins in the last draft, who I think has a ton of potential. I think he's the perfect, body for, that NBA power forward. I definitely like him there. You slide in DeAndre Ayton, maybe Dennis Schroeder there. Maybe you keep him, maybe you trade him. They're definitely going into that young group area. But as you guys know, the NBA draft will be changing. So you're going to want to get a guy that can contribute to success soon because you're not going to be able to tank too much longer with the whole new draft setup. So I say they go with DeAndre Ayton. I think he's a solidified, proven, safe selection. There are a lot of other talent that I would like to go with that number 1 overall selection, but I think if the Hawks have that pick, I say they go with him. If there's different teams that have that pick, I'm going to say they take different players. But right now, I say the number 1 selection is going DeAndre Ayton to the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, guys, so next we got the 2nd overall pick, which right now would go to the Dallas Mavericks. Now, a lot of these mock drafts have the Dallas Mavericks taking Marvin Bagley, and I think Marvin Bagley, he's crazy. He's absolutely insane. He's a great player, but I don't think you guys can pass up on Luka Doncic. I mean, Luka Doncic, he's playing out of his mind. For his age, what he's doing in the 2nd best basketball league in the world over in Spain, absolutely insane. His numbers are crazy. His court vision is crazy. He's, a 6'6" guy, 6'7", who can play almost the 1 through the 3. Extremely versatile. Now, there are questions about his athleticism, like there would be with any player of that nature, but I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. I think he's going to, rely on his court vision, rely on his just well-rounded game, and his shooting ability is obviously crazy. People have been calling him, the 6'6" Stephen Curry, whether that's the case or not. But also, I mean, the Dallas Mavericks, have had a history of having a lot of success in a foreign player such as Dirk Nowitzki. I think they could really build around Luka Doncic. You also have some good young players. You go along with Dennis Smith. I think that gives you a lot of versatility. I mean, a lot of people think Luka Doncic can play the 1, but when you have Dennis Smith, Luka Doncic, 2 guys that are very versatile, you could have Luka go to the 3, the 2. I think that's going to be really nice. Marvin Bagley, he would also be a nice selection, but I still feel like Luka Doncic is a guy you can't pass up. And, they got Nerlens Noel, they got Harrison Barnes, they have some guys that can play that stretch 4, and I think it just makes better sense for them to take Luka Doncic with the 2nd overall pick. Okay, guys, so next we got the Memphis Grizzlies, who haven't really been playing well at all this season. You got Mike Conley, you got Marc Gasol, but you're going to have to go to the direction of finding the best player on the board, finding a guy that can transform your franchise. You also kind of have a hole of that power forward position in your roster, so I say you go Marvin Bagley, a guy on Duke, leading the team to a lot of success. He's an absolute beast. I think, right now he hasn't performed too well as far as behind the 3-point arc, but I think that's definitely going to be a strong suit, come a couple years into the NBA. Obviously, his athleticism has been crazy. He's been dominating high school basketball since he stepped foot, almost in like 8th grade. Absolute beast. I think you got to take him. And, you also could say they take Michael Porter, but I think, as I see in the thumbnail, I put a lot of question marks around Michael Porter because he's a big question right now. Even if he is going to the 2018 NBA draft due to the whole injury, will that hurt his stock due to not seeing him perform in college basketball and seeing other guys really prove themselves? Where does he fit in? I still really like Michael Porter, but I also have a really strong, feeling that he'll go to the 2019 NBA draft. But for this video, I'm going to keep him in the 2018 NBA draft, and I'm going to have him going with the 4th overall selection to the Chicago Bulls. Now, if Michael Porter doesn't go to the NBA draft, I think Trae Young, honestly, the good numbers Trae Young's putting up, I'm going to have him go with that 4th overall spot. I think he fits in with the Chicago Bulls just nice. I don't think Chris Dunn is their point guard of the future. I think you get a lot more upside in Trae Young. Go along with Lauri Markkanen. That could be a nasty, spread the floor, 3-point shooting lineup to build around. But right now, I'm saying if Michael Porter goes, they'll take Michael Porter. And I think Michael Porter, obviously, he's a guy that compared to LeBron James, compared to Kevin Durant, he could be a transformative type player, a 30-point per game scorer to go along with Lauri Markkanen. I think you take him. It's a good selection. It's a safe selection. And that brings us into the 5th overall pick. Now, the 5th overall pick right now would be going to the Sacramento Kings. Now, this one's kind of tough. NBADraft.net right now has him taking Trae Young, but I think De'Aaron Fox, there's so much upside in De'Aaron Fox. Maybe his efficiency, maybe just 3-point shooting is not the best right now, but too much upside to really, I think, replace De'Aaron Fox. I think that's another piece why you're going to get rid of George Hill soon. I don't think George Hill fits into the youth of this lineup. So I'm going to say they go with, in my opinion, the best prospect on the board in Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba is a 7-footer who has, skills comparable to, Karl Anthony Towns as far as, good coordination, being able to somewhat dribble the basketball. He's really working on that spreading the floor. He has an insane wingspan, able to block shots. So where does he fit in the Kings? You got De'Aaron Fox. You obviously, you got Buddy Hield. You've got Justin Jackson. You found a decent backup point guard and, Frank Mason. So I don't think you have too many problems at those guard positions. Now you also have Willie Cauley-Stein. You've got Skal Labissière, but I think you're dealing with a lot more upside, especially appealing to modern NBA and Mo Bamba, and I think they go with him. Okay, guys, so next we got the 6th overall pick, which right now would go to the Phoenix Suns. I say they're going Trae Young. Now, this would definitely give you a really weak, point guard, shooting guard duo like we see with like a team like the Trailblazers. But I think, Devin Booker's going in the right direction. I think he won't be too much of a defensive liability a couple years in advance. Obviously, Trae Young, you're getting a 6'2" point guard. You're not getting a guy, with a crazy wingspan. He might be, not that strong on the, defensive side of the ball, but I think you see what you saw in the success of the Splash Bros in Golden State, and I think you're dealing with a similar type of shooting, court you got right there, a shooting guard duo. When you have Devin Booker, obviously a guy that drops 70 points, a lights out 3-point shooter, who's still got a crazy amount of upside. He's still super young. And then you got Trae Young, who right now is my favorite player to watch in college basketball, like almost everybody. I mean, that man is scoring, almost 25 points at the halftime. He tied the, college basketball record for 22 assists, which is absolutely crazy to go when you take into consideration that he's not just a playmaker. He's scored, 40-point games. He's absolutely, right now, the best college player as far as just pure stats go right now. And I think with that 3-point shooting, he's got to go, in that top 10 area. And I think the Phoenix Suns make a good, fit, because you also have Josh Jackson, who right now hasn't had the greatest rookie season, but you're going to get a lot of defense in him going in the future. So that kind of hopefully, doesn't weaken your defensive lineup too much. Obviously, I still think they have some holes that need to be found at that power forward and center position, but Trae Young, his performance, I say you got to go with him. Okay, guys, so I did the first 6 picks. I took my time a little bit on those, but I'm going to start speeding it up because I don't want this video to be too long. So right now, 7th pick, we got Orlando Magic. You've just drafted Jonathan Isaac in the last draft. You've got Aaron Gordon, who's proved to have a great season, really be able to play that 4, sometimes that 3. So I think we're going to see a lot of times where we have both them in the lineup. Evan Fournier, he's had a great season. Nikola Vucevic, he's had a great season. So I honestly just don't believe, while the defense is there, the passing is decent, I don't think you're, if you want the upside, if you really want to be a competing team, I don't think Elfrid Payton is your point guard of the future. We've seen a lot of impressive things happening with Colin Sexton, a guy that dropped 40 points, with 3 players on the court. He's an absolute beast. He can really pass the ball. He's got crazy athleticism. He's just a well-rounded point guard. He's a great point guard for what we're seeing in modern NBA. He can take that role as a pure scorer, or, we've seen him a lot of times be a great facilitator. So I say Colin Sexton, he goes to the 7th overall pick and fills a hole for the Orlando Magic. Next, we have the 8th overall pick, which is actually the Lakers pick, but if it actually lands around that 8 area, it will go to the 76ers. Now, the 76ers, you've obviously found a point guard in Markelle Fultz, hopefully. I mean, you took him with the number 1 overall pick. I don't think you want to, go too far and replace him as of right now. I mean, I've seen mock drafts where they have them taking Colin Sexton, but I think you really want to see what you get out of Markelle Fultz before you go and take a guy that could maybe surpass him. I don't know. But then you've got Joel Embiid, obviously. That's a great talent. You've got Ben Simmons, great talent. And then you've got, that shooting guard position. And, you got JJ Redick, but he's on a 1-year. Will he stay? Obviously, you've got another great role player in Robert Covington who can fit into the starting lineup. But, you got Dario Saric, who's, not a bad power forward, but if you have this selection, I probably would think they would trade it, but I'm assuming they don't. And I think with that 8th overall selection, they're going to go with a safe selection, but still a lot of upside in Jaren Jackson Jr., a 240-pound, 6'11" power forward who's big, he's strong, he's versatile, and I think it's just a safe selection that fits into a great defensive lineup that you're building in Philadelphia. Next, we got the Charlotte Hornets at the number 9 selection, and they're going to take one of my favorite players, Kevin Knox. I think they're going to go Kevin Knox. You've got, Malik Monk, who I think needs more playing time. I think he needs a bigger role at that shooting guard position. But, a lot of people are mentioning, Kemba Walker. Should he be on his way out? I think possibly due to the value you could get out of him. I think Malik Monk might be the better piece. I think you want to start building around more youth as of this point. But maybe that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm crazy. I think Nicholas Batum, you kind of got to move on from them. I think Charlotte Hornets definitely had to go into that youth route. And I think Kevin Knox could be another piece who's a guy, a 6'9" guy, can play the small forward or the power forward position. He can spread the floor. He can, take the ball up off a rebound. He's a guy that he seems pretty like a safe selection, but he also seems like there could be a lot of upside with this guy due to his ability to dribble the ball at that 6'9" frame. I definitely like this player, and I think the Charlotte Hornets, they really couldn't pass that on. There's other guys right up there with a lot of talent, but I think you really want to go with the guy who had the most upside potential, and I say that would go with Kevin Knox right there. Okay, guys, so the last pick of this video, we got the 10th overall selection, which is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers, via the Brooklyn Nets selection. And, this one, I'm actually going to do something different. I'm going to assume they either trade it to the Los Angeles Clippers or the Oklahoma City Thunder to get Paul George or get DeAndre Jordan by the end of the season. If it goes to the Clippers, I say you go with a guy that's been dominating, in college, dominating in high school, kind of slept on in the NBA draft, in my opinion, a very versatile, a very athletic, extremely athletic small forward, and Miles Bridges. I say that's who they go with. Danilo Gallinari, he's a great small forward, but I still think, Miles Bridges would fit in better going into the future. And then if it goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder, that's kind of a tough one. I don't know exactly who they would go with because obviously you're getting rid of Paul George. That kind of puts you weak at that small forward position. So maybe you would want to replace that. Maybe they also take Miles Bridges. But at the same time, would you want that kind of player to, I don't know how he would fit in with Russell Westbrook as much. So I think maybe they'll take Mikal Bridges, who, he can be a guy that can play that 3-and-D role. That could be great, but do you get the amount of upside? So maybe you also fill kind of a hole at that power forward position and get Wendell Carter out of Duke. That one's, kind of the one I would be most confused on where they would go. But tell me in the comments below what you think of my selections. Tell me what you would have done differently. And that's the video, guys. Tell me in the comments below, obviously, like I just said, what you think. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.